You tell me. This is one thing I've kind of noticed. When you're talking about a true BBC, a really not even just a black guy, but just any
Right.
it takes.
Hey guys, it's Hink here. So I got another spicy one for you today. And so I don't know if part of my goal is to be like, rule out the fake natties of like the corn industry and the BS that goes on there. But that's kind of what I want to start to do a little bit more with this channel, because this stuff is just outrageous. Today we have an interview by that like Adam 22 guy. I hope for the love of Christ, like you guys are not actually watching these interviews and actually invested in learning about, like, in my opinion, this debauchery, okay? That's my opinion. If you like it, then more power to you guys. But I just think that none of this stuff is good for your brain. To be trendy, like this is brain rot, guys. But there are some things that we can learn from this interview, and that's what I want to go through today.
When you're talking about a true BBC, a really, not even just a black guy, but just any,
Right.
It takes quite a bit more work, it would seem to me, to get it that big.
No.
And, okay, this is just my observation. You can tell me if I'm wrong. It's also like, there are various levels to it being hard, since it takes so much blood to fill this thing up, that sometimes I'll see a guy that I know who has like a really big shooting, and it'll occur to me like, oh, he's making it work, but it's not all the way there.
No.
True or false?
False.
Really?
100%.
Okay.
Look, every man that you see that is a man has the same mechanisms of action in his body. Nothing's different between me and you. So what makes my dick work and the way that happens as a physical, flow chart is the same in me and you and the next guy, right? So if my body says, hey, this is what it takes to get ourselves 100% erection, it's the same code. It's the same code of action that everyone has. See what I'm saying? So if my body is built to pump up my penis to 11 inches and is built to pump up your penis to whatever size it is, it's the same mechanism of action.
First of all, I have to say I'm impressed with the way Lexington Steele actually talks. Like, he's actually a pretty well-spoken dude. I wasn't expecting that, okay? But that being said, like, I do love the fact that this guy is like, I can't believe this myth is perpetuated that, oh, like, the bigger your D, like, oh, you could even get lightheaded because so much blood is flowing to your D, or it takes longer to fill up. That's bullshit, guys. I talked about it on the Nathan Bronson video, and I'm talking about it on this video, and it's nice to see that an actual corn star legend, if you will, is saying the same thing, that it's stupid to say that it takes longer or more effort or any of that to fill up a D. If you had a larger volume to fill, then like obviously that was going to take by definition longer to fill, but it's not that much longer, guys. It's silly that still gets perpetuated. And even I still see people on the blogs that are like, yeah, I noticed since getting bigger that it does take me longer to get, more aroused. And I'm like, well, maybe you need to work on your erection quality.
If my body is built to pump up my penis to 11 inches and is built to pump up your penis to whatever size it is.
And guys, here, we need to like take a hard stop here, because once again, the guy started out strong. I like the way he was talking. And then he says, when I pump my penis up to 11 inches or whatever he said, guys, he does not have an 11-inch penis, okay? Let's just put that to bed right now. Now, I am not recommending you do this, but if you are interested, there is a subreddit. It's called like r/measured corn stars. And they actually go through with evidence, and they actually have measurements. Here is a redacted picture that I found that basically represents Lexington Steele and what he does in his measurements. So if you see at the top, there's this like cardboard cutout with a squiggly line, so you know it's the same. And you can see that from the top view, the actual length is about 8 inches. But the way that you can angle it and change your angles, you can actually make it look like it's almost, that it's over 10 inches big. And that's what he actually has a picture of like up there, okay, in the unredacted version. If you're interested, which I hope you're not, and you'll take my word for it, but like this guy is unequivocally enormous, gigantic, huge, but we're talking about something more like 8 to 8.5 inches non-bone pressed. So sure, bone pressed, yeah, probably about 9. Equine, large, but he's not 11 inches. Now guys, why do I care? I care because you people watching this guy hear him, oh, 11 inches, oh my God, I'm only 5 inches, which is perfectly normal, perfectly average, and you think this dude is more than double your size. It's going to F with you and cause these insecurity issues, where if you were 5 inches and you found out that this massive corn star is 8 inches, which is massive once again, but it does completely different thing with your brain, whether you think he's double or not. And this is another reason why you need to quit watching corn. And now, guys, let's do maybe we'll make this a recurring segment. Callie, hit him with some graphics. Hink's reality check. So if you guys have seen my other video, I talk about like how to know statistically whether or not you're her biggest. We're going to use some of those same principles, okay? I'm not going to go through the data, but guys, what are the odds of actually having an 11-inch penis based on the best scientific published data that we have? I'll put the graphics on the screen, but basically what you're doing is converting the z-score and finding the probability based on standard deviation. Guys, the summary, finding the probability, the odds of somebody having an 11-inch penis, given the provided distribution, are essentially zero for practical purposes. It's not impossible, guys, but it is damn near impossible to have a penis that large. For a second reality check, let's just look at what are the odds of actually having a 9-inch penis. So once again, I'm going to include the data on the screen so you can see what this process is and calculate it for yourself. This is based on that Am I Normal distribution nomogram of penis size based on over 15,000 men. And here you can see, guys, the chance of having a penis 9 inches or bigger is about, out of 100 million, over 1 or 2 people would have a penis naturally occurring, guys, because we know you can enlarge it, of 9 inches or more, okay? So just let that sink in, okay? 1 or 2 out of 100 million. Now, to be very clear, given our population and that number, that means that there are about at least 60 men on this earth that have a penis size of 9 inches or bigger. So we're not saying it doesn't exist, but it's just very rare. So there are about 60 people that are likely in the adult film industry that are actually that big, guys. But you need to know what's fucking reality and what is not. Having an 11-inch penis is not reality, and he is nowhere near that. And so using that same aforementioned paper, okay, here's a nomogram that they looked at. 90% of men are between 4.3 inches and 6.3 inches, okay? So you need to keep that in mind, 90% of men. So it's the outliers that are either smaller than that or bigger than that on either side. I don't care what anybody said. I'm sure in the comments, well, actually, Hink, I was in a locker room.
Don't do the voice.
This is reality, guys. You need to know what is actually reality.
Can a person have the mental acuity to get themselves at their maximum level regardless? And so I wouldn't say that's a case of because a person is larger, he has a more challenging road to getting an erection. No. Because then what about the guy that's got a smaller dick that can't get a hard on? If one would think that by that same metric, it would be easier for him to get a hard on than Mandingo.
And so, guys, like this part here, we start talking about like the mental acuity. Like, yes, that is a big component with it, but there's such a large physiologic component to getting an erection. You can't just say it's like, oh, it's all mental. There are a lot of mental things, but there's also physiologic things like how hydrated you are, what your level of nitric oxide is, what your hormonal levels are. And guys, like, please check out some of my other videos of like, avoid these things for maximum erection quality to learn like more about the actual physiology behind it. But that's just a really bad take to just be like, oh, it's just mental acuity, Jedi mind tricks.
The broader, the larger of a stage you can provide the star to work on, the greater the production ends up being. And thusly, that individual that provides a larger stage gets hired more often for all the other stars to dance upon. You know what I'm saying?
So I thought this part was actually eloquently said. He basically explains, like, what is it about these larger guys that makes them so popular in porn, even though that does not translate to actually what women want in real life. And I actually thought that was pretty insightful. And I was like, damn, that actually makes sense. Basically, the bigger the stage the performer has to perform, like, the more things you could see them do. And so I just wanted to take a time out and say that, like, that was actually pretty introspective. And I actually appreciated that take. But just keep in mind, guys, just because these are professional actresses that act like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, it doesn't mean that's what they want in real life.
There's been times where I've been shooting with girls and they're so good at giving head that they're throwing this thing and their lips are literally like on my
Yeah.
And then I'll watch a scene of that same girl working with a guy with a really large one, and it's like they're just navigating the top 3-4 inches of that thing, and also due to the wideness, they're able to take way less of it into their throat, which is that in that situation, I am like, wow, okay, so maybe there is at least some sort of silver lining to being more average size.
So guys, this is a bit of a hot take here, but I think smaller guys get more like pleasure out of sex. Sound off, absolutely fry me in the comments here, guys. But when you're just talking about things like getting a BJ and like you could actually have a girl take all of you in her mouth, like not to be like BD problems, oh my God, woe is me, but like I low-key am jealous of that, okay? Now, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I do think that's an important thing. The point is, guys, like Adam22 actually does a decent job here. Like, you need to actually be grateful for what you have. Like, guys, I coach guys that have broken their Ds, whether through PE or whether it just through aggressive masturbating or sometimes even trauma. I had one guy fall from a roof onto like a beam right on his pelvic floor. The point is, regardless of your size, if your D works, you should be appreciative of that and be grateful for that and not just be like, oh, well, he's bigger than me, I just want to be that way. Now, I know that's easy for me to say, and yes, I just did the voice again. But it's true. You need to appreciate what you have. And I do applaud Adam 22 for that.
Bear in mind, right, what we're dealing with are professionals, performers.
Yeah.
Professional performers of sex. Now, that same girl, she's performing. What I'm saying is a girl that could do it to an average size may choose to not use that same skill that could probably do it me. And I'm in double digits. You know, I've reached the double digits in terms of length. She could probably do me to my balls as well because she's got that skill set. She may choose to acclimate herself only to halfway because she knows that visually it's more stunning.
That's interesting. Okay.
And she's well, because I remember we're not, these aren't at this level, at the level that I operate at, the women are super professionals at sex. They know what they look like when they're doing that. They know it's more impressive for herself and myself if she can make it look like this is so big that no one can take it even halfway, but she got it halfway.
Right.
So she's celebrated for doing so.
Now, I really like this guy. Now, I do think he's a douchebag for being like, no, now I'm double digits. But the fact of the matter is he could have been like, yes, dude, I'm so big and it sucks because I'm so big that none of the chicks could ever like go all the way down. And instead he's like, no, these chicks are performers. They have a certain skill set. You know, you've seen the people at the circus like swallowing swords. But the point is, like he says, if they have that skill set, it probably doesn't matter if they're 6 inches or if they're 8 inches. In this guy's actual case, that they should be able to still like take it all the way down. Guys, you have to keep in mind, like he just said, there are these tricks that the porn industry tries to trick you to make it seem like these guys are so much bigger than they actually are. And you need to be aware of that and stop getting fooled and stop letting them with your insecurities so hard and make you think that these guys are so much bigger than you. And that's what the women want.
When a girl can get to the bottom of me, I'm like, yo, like that's pretty solid. But I also remember that she has probably blown about 10,000 penises.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to comment here. Like when this guy's like, oh man, this chick took me all the way. That means she's probably had done this over 10,000 times or with over 10,000 guys. It's just like, what are we doing in life? Like, what is our society coming to? But my takeaways from this video were that, number one, porn industry lies, okay? Here you have a guy going on the TV saying like double digits, I'm 11 inches, when he's trying to just make himself seem bigger than real life. Like just like any movie star would make you seem bigger than real life rather than a regular guy. But don't get it twisted. These guys are gigantic, but there's a big difference between thinking this guy's 11 inches versus thinking this guy is 8 inches. Number two, erection quality is important, guys. It doesn't matter on the size of your D, but just think about it. The better your erection is, the bigger your size is going to be. So watch my other videos on that. And finally, guys, just know like the real statistics. Once again, of the population of Earth right now, there's about 60 guys that are actually 9 inches or bigger, according to the nomogram that we have. Now, I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to have a pretty insightful comment about that, and I look forward to reading that. So please leave your comments or if you think that that's bullshit. But the fact of the matter is, guys are not that big. Now, I don't have like the website to prove this, but I did look this up once. There was a website that offered anybody like either $10,000 or $25,000 for documented photo evidence of being greater than 10 inches. And nobody has come forward with that yet. Because even these biggest of the biggest porn stars like Mandingo, for example, are like 9 inches. Unequivocally, ungodly huge, guys. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't want you thinking these guys are 12, 13, 14 inches long. Guys, let me know what you think. Am I off my rocker? Did you guys like this interview? Am I completely wrong about size? Or did this actually help you as far as dysmorphia? But I appreciate you guys. Remember, guys, be the best version of yourself. And that's probably not going to come from watching interviews from Adam 22 and his No Jumper podcast. But there's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but you are enough just as you are. All right, guys. Peace and love.